Hello guys and welcome. How's it going? So today I'm here to do a show with regards to the fact that fans still not in the ground, and obviously discuss the fact of whether it's having an impact on our clubs. I have done a bit of research with regards to this, guys, and I've noticed what could be kind of classed as patterns, if you like. But before we get into that, guys, a little bit of fandom news. If you are following on Instagram, or if you're not following on Instagram, you can start. But if you are, and you have a club account, i.e. a account about your particular club that you support, and it's a UK club, then I will be working on a competition idea that I've been working on for most of the summer, actually, guys, that actually works for you guys and obviously for fandom. So to start with, it'll be a bit of an experiment, but hopefully it will be a success. But like I said, guys, I'm looking for one or two club accounts that might be interested in getting involved and working with me on this idea. So if you are interested, you can drop me a message and we'll discuss it further and see if we can get you involved. But like I said, guys, I'm definitely excited about this idea because I spent quite a while working on it over the summer, and I'm hoping it will be something really positive. So onto the show, guys. So what I have noticed is more so in the Championship and the Scottish Premiership and in the Premier League. It's been a bit more difficult to notice the patterns in the lower league, i.e. League One and League Two in England. Obviously League One and League Two in Scotland isn't playing just yet. But in League One and League Two in England, been a little bit more difficult to actually involve them in this, just simply because obviously down in the lower leagues of League One and League Two, any club can beat any club, and the scores can be, crazy. They can be tight games. So it was a bit harder at this stage of the season to look for any patterns with regards to this similarity. But I have noticed some patterns within the Scottish League, Scottish Premier League and the Championship, as well as the Premier League. So I'm going to share that with you now, guys, and obviously you guys can leave your comments below to let me know if you agree or disagree, or what your personal opinion of the situation is, and whether you think there is something in this or not. So what I've noticed, guys, is particularly obviously noticeable in the Premier League, but I've also noticed in the English Championship and the Scottish Premier League that games look to be tighter. Not as many goals scored, a lot more games where it's 1-0, 2-0 or 2-1, that kind of scoreline. Now, I'm not saying there isn't any games that have got more goals than that, of course there is. But if you look over the games over the Championship and the Scottish Premier League since the start of the season, you'll actually see that there has been a lot tighter games, and that obviously that not really high scoring games. That I don't know, maybe 70% of the games are tighter games. I'm not sure exactly of the statistics, but if you look down the list of the results, guys, you can see it's apparent. Now in the Premier League, it's the opposite story. In the Premier League, it's a case of there's been more high-scoring games. We're getting some crazy results, and the evidence is there. If you look back over the start of the season, you got obviously with the previous weekend, we seen obviously Man United get beat off Tottenham 6-1. Liverpool get beat off Aston Villa 7-2. But there's other results since the start of the season, like Leicester obviously played West Ham, and that was a 3-0 to West Ham. Now, obviously, it's not the most high-scoring game, but it was still a bit of a surprise to see West Ham score 3 goals away at Leicester without reply. Losing, obviously, anybody can lose in any league, but the fact that Leicester didn't reply with any goals was a bit of an eye-opener. Then obviously Chelsea beating Crystal Palace 4-0, Everton beating West Ham then 4-1, City getting beat by Leicester 5-2, West Ham beating Wolves 4-0, Southampton losing to Tottenham 5-2, Everton beating West Brom 5-2. So, these are unusual results in respect of the amount of goals being conceded, guys. So the question asked is, that I'm asking you guys, because what I'm asking myself is, are the clubs being affected by no fans in respect of our players down in tools, i.e. Are they, conceding 1 or 2 goals and then giving the game up and thinking, oh, well, if we lose this one, it's okay, we've got the next one. That question has to be asked, guys, because if we're in the ground as fans and our club is losing 3-4-0 and it's going to look like it's going to be a cricket score, then obviously as fans we start to let the team know that it's not good enough. And in a lot of cases we'll see that come the second half or whatever stage in the game, but particularly if we notice it in the first half, then come the second half the players will know that the fans are not happy and not satisfied with the performance and come out, with a bit more vigour and a bit more effort. But it's like I say, guys, just a theory. I'd love to know what you think on it. I'm thinking that the players are not, as motivated with no fans in the ground. I'm thinking that are they having off days where it's, no pressure coming from the stands. I'm being a bit blasé about it, and it's like, yeah, well, all right, well, another game next week kind of thing. Another thing that I have noticed with relation to Premier League clubs as well, guys, is that some clubs are probably being more affected than others, and some in a positive way and some in a negative way. Now, what I mean by that, guys, is if we look at clubs like Sheffield United and, Burnley and West Brom, these kind of clubs, without any disrespect to them kind of clubs, they thrive off fans in the ground. In a normal course of a season, them sort of clubs would be looking to get the points that they need to survive in the Premier League at home. And that's because obviously they rely on the fan support of getting behind them and making it an intimidating atmosphere for the away team. And that is massive for clubs like West Brom, Burnley and Sheffield United. And obviously this season we haven't got fans, and we're seeing that these clubs are sort of struggling with some results. It's like I said, guys, it's still very early to tell yet because there's only a few games in, but there is a bit of evidence to suggest that them clubs are missing the fans. But then on the flip side, guys, we are also seeing that other clubs like that would normally be under immense pressure from the fans, and rightly so, to do better, are actually doing better. And is that because there's no fans? Now, the clubs I'm thinking of in this scenario is the clubs like Arsenal, Newcastle and Everton, who have started the season a lot better this season than in the last few seasons. And like I said, the expectation from their fans is that they do this, that they actually compete and they are creative and obviously putting in 100% effort in every game. But obviously players can be affected with the amount of pressure coming from fans and the expectation. And another point to that, guys, is, it's a test of character for the players to rise to that challenge. And they should be able to, because if they can't, then they shouldn't be playing for the club. If they can't rise to the challenge, then obviously, I'm not saying we expect them to be absolutely firing on all cylinders every game and being Lionel Messi or anything like that with their creativity. But as fans, we just want to see the effort, and if we see the effort, we're satisfied to a certain degree, even if we lose. Don't get me wrong, no fan wants to see the club lose, but at least if you lose and you see that the players have put a shift in, then you can at least walk away from the ground, comforted by the fact that that your players for your club have given a good account of themselves. So for me, guys, I think that this is something that's definitely worth considering in respect of how the season has started, because for me, I think it is evident that particularly with Arsenal, Everton and Newcastle, that they are actually thriving off the fact of no fans in the ground in respect of the less pressure. But maybe that's just me reading into it, but it is very coincidental, guys, how these clubs are normally under immense pressure from the fans. And obviously the media don't help with that situation, to put in performances and get results, and yet we're seeing that they're actually doing that with no fans in the ground better than they do it when they have fans in the ground, if we look at the last couple of seasons. So I'd love to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. Do you agree? Do you think that this is, a pattern that we'll see continue through the rest of the season? Do you think I'm reading too much into it too early? Let me know in the comments, guys, because like I said, I'm quite fascinated to see how the rest of the season pans out and if we see more evidence of this, because it is very, very coincidental that we're seeing, particularly, like I said, in particular clubs in the stadiums of empty grounds actually having different impacts depending on whether that club is shall we say, underdogs and thrives off the fans, or whether that club has got a lot of expectation and sometimes buckles under the pressure of what the fans expect. As well as in the Scottish League, we also have to take into account that maybe some of the other clubs in the Scottish League are struggling to compete with the likes of Rangers and Celtic through the fact of lack of fan support, because obviously, as we're seeing in the early stages of the Scottish Premier League, we're seeing that Rangers and Celtic don't seem to be getting much of a challenge at this early stage, and obviously it's got to be asked the question: will that continue through the rest of the season if we have no fans in the ground? So thank you very much for joining me, guys. Hopefully you guys will let me know what you think in the comments, and hopefully you will join me on future videos. Take care for now, and I hope to see you soon.